Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 6 English Culture Background and we have 5% in our groups. We will talk about customs in 5 countries. I have to explain about the general of the culture. Start from American history and culture. Every period of American history, from New World countries to the Civil War to the Chicago Literary Renaissance and beyond, is well represented in the Newberry's collection. Over many decades of collection development, the Newberry's helped build up an extensive array of archival materials, monographs, periodicals, ephemera, and rare idiosyncratic words for materials from the mid-18th to the 20th century. We can see the modern manuscript abstract, and Newberry's librarians have compiled research guides containing bibliographies, checklists, and other resources to aid in research. This is the type of the culture. There are Civil War reconstruction, African American studies, regional religion, roots, history of the colonial period, Revolutionary era, early Republic, discovery and exploration of the Americans, Western Americana, Western expression, American literature. This is some picture of the art. There are art gallery, there are the palace, and there are maps. Okay, second is British history and culture. British culture is influenced by the combination history, its historical Christian religious life, its interaction with the cultures of Europe, the tradition of England, Wales, and Scotland, and the impact of the British Empire. Although British culture is a distinct entity, the individual cultures of England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland are diverse and have varying degrees of overlap and distinctiveness. The UK has been described as a culture superpower, and London has been described as the world culture capital. A global opinion poll of the BBC saw that UK ranked the third most positively viewed nation in the world, behind Germany and Canada, in 2013 and 2014. There are culture in language, folklore, art, national park, museum, libraries, and galleries, religion, science and technology, cuisine, healthcare, pets, national custom and dress, symbol, flags and emblems, education, social issues, naming convention. See also notes, reference, external links. And this is the picture. There are art gallery and the other. For Australian history and culture, Federation in 1901 was the culmination of a growing sense of national identity that has developed over the latter half of the 19th century and seen in the works of the held by school painters and writers like Benjamin Patterson, Henry Lawson, and Dorothy McClure. The World Wars profoundly altered Australian sense of identity, with World War I introducing the ANZAC legend, and World War II seeing a reorientation from Britain to the United States as the national first ally. After the Second War, 9.5 million migrants from 200 national approach emerged new diversity. Over time, The diverse food, lifestyle, and cultural practices of immigrants have been absorbed into mainstream Australian culture. Okay, from Australian, there are some parts like development of Australian culture, symbol, language, humor, arts, and religion, public holidays, cuisines, clothing and apparel, sport, folklore, studies, beliefs, and stereotypes. Let's going on. There's some pictures of Australian. Uh, and then the last is Indonesian history and culture. The culture of Indonesia has been shaped by a long interaction between original indigenous custom and multiple foreign influence. Indonesia is central located along assigned trading routes between the Far East, South Asia, and Middle East, resulting in many cultural practices being stronger influenced by a multitude of religions including Buddhism, Christianity, Confucianism, Hinduism, and Muslim, all strong in the major trading cities. The result is a complex culture mixture very different from the original indigenous cultures. Let's going on. Nah. There are the traditional performing arts, traditional visual arts, architecture, craft, clothing, food, literature, recreation and sport, popular media, religion and philosophy, celebration, and this is some pictures of Indonesian culture.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In this part, I wanna share you about the American culture. American culture encompasses the customs and traditions of the US. Culture encompasses religion, food, what we wear, how we wear it, our language, marriage, music, what we believe is right or wrong, how we sit at the table, how we greet visitors, how we behave with loved ones, and a million other things, said Christina De Rossi, and an anthropologist at Barnet and Saltage College in London. The US is sometimes described as a melting pot in which different cultures have contributed their own distinct flavors to American culture, just as cultures from around the world have influenced American culture. Today, American culture influenced the world. The term Western culture often refers broadly to the cultures of the United States and Europe. The way people melt in the United States differs. Different groups of immigrants integrate in different ways. For example, in the US, Catholic Spanish-speaking communities might keep their language and other culture, family traditions, but are integrated in the urban community and have embraced the American way of life in many other ways. Here is a brief overview of the culture of the United States. For the first one is language. There is no official language of the United States according to the US government. 90% of the US population speaks and understands at least some English, and most official business is conducted in English. Some states have official or preferred language. And the second, religion. Nearly every known religion is practiced in the United States. which many found of the basis of religious freedom. And the third is American style. Clothing styles vary by social status, region, occupation, and climate. American fashion is widely influenced by celebrities and media. And the fourth is American food. Today, there are a number of foods that are commonly identified as American, such as hamburgers, hot dogs, potato chips, macaroni and cheese, and meatloaf. As American as apple pie has come to mean something that is authentically American. The fifth is the arts. The US arts culture extends beyond movies and television shows. New York is home to Broadway, and Americans have a rich theatrical history. American folk art is an artistic style and identified with quilts and other handcrafted items. American music is very diverse with many styles including rhythm and blues, jazz, gospel, country and western, bluegrass, rock and roll and hip hop. And the sixth is American holidays. Many holidays are celebrated only in the US. And the last is sport. The US is a sport-minded country with millions of fans who follow football, basketball, and hockey, and among other sports. Here, American customs that are considered offensive in other countries. Uh, for the first one, not declining gifts. Americans are quick to accept gift favors and invitations, often without offering something in return. Expect you to decide a few times before accepting them, and then polishing off your meal. To Americans, finishing a meal shows the household how much they enjoyed the meal, and then blowing your nose. Blowing your nose in public is not only rude but considered repulsive. After that, there is a tossing. Tossing others can be offensive in places like Thailand, Korea, and the Middle East. Respect the personal space varies from country to country. Asking certain questions. Asking, "What do you do?" is considered insulting, especially in countries with social welfare systems, like the Netherlands, where people feel there is a way of pigeonholing them and of being classist. And then, refusing food. Americans often refuse food to make it easier for these hosts, but in most Arab countries, like Lebanon, it is incredibly rude to reject what is offered, especially when it comes to food. And mm, being on time. On other hand, Latin American cultures would consider it bad form if you showed up to a dinner party right on time, akin to someone arriving an hour early in America, having one hand in your pocket. This is considered erosion in Turkey as well as some Asian countries like South Korea. Using your left hand for anything. Not all countries use toilet paper and tend to use their left hand in lieu of it. Doing anything with your left hand in much of Africa, India, Sri Lanka, and the Middle East, like a slap in the face. After that, tipping. In Japan and South Korea, Tipping is seen as an insult. Workers feel they are paid to do their job and take pride in doing it well. They turn it an added incentive. Sitting in the back of a cab. In Australia, New Zealand, and Netherlands, it considers rude not to ride shotgun. It's a matter of egalitarianism. And the last, throwing a thumbs up. A thumbs up has the same meaning of holding up a middle finger for Americans. Thank you.
For the next, we will move to customs in Britain. Firstly, the term United Kingdom actually refers to four separate countries: England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Here we will more focus on Britain, which comprises England and Wales as the main territory of UK. Britain is rich of culture and traditions. We have divided its customs into four major parts. First is daily life and social customs, and then calendar customs, royal customs, and also the etiquette. I need to remind you that discussing all of them one by one in detail requires to have plenty of time, so we currently have several examples only. Here we go. First, in daily life and social customs. Start from food and drink. British has food that generally based on beef, chicken, lamb, pork, and fish, which are served together with potatoes and vegetables. They have various main dishes, traditional foods, and national foods. One of the famous national foods of Britain is fish and chips. Thoughts in the picture, and the tea. British people love tea so much. They are tea drinkers and usually have it for breakfast, lunch, after dinner, and even at a tea time. In addition, some foods are eaten during festivals or special days, for example roast lamb during Easter Day. Next, sports. Sports is the essential part. It is the most popular activity for leisure time in Britain. Besides horse racing, there are golf, rugby, cricket, and also polo. And then, for the next, British people are animal lovers. Even say that they could love their pets more than their children. These pets can be dogs, cats, parrots, and also the other pets. There are many special dog shops, salons, cemeteries, and even special animal hotel. And last, pubs or public house. Pubs are the popular places for social meeting which provide entertainment and beers. In such displays, in most of pubs, it is customary to purchase immediately and tip the waiter. And for the next, move to the calendar customs. So here, including national days, festivals, and celebrations. First, for example, they have the Queen's official birthday each year in June, known as Trooping the Colour. That is military parade, as you can see in the picture. Next, in May, they have May Day, traditional celebrations on the 1st of May with music, dancing, and also game. Old tale says that young girls used to rush out into the garden to wash their faces in the May dew, and they will have a beautiful complexion. Another example is Halloween in October. And next, this is unusual custom and traditions. For example, is October Plenty, an autumn harvest celebration. The last is royal customs. Oh no, before the last is royal customs. Within the first picture is one of the Queen's Guards named Foot Guard in full dress uniform. The Queen's Guards are mainly responsible to guard Buckingham Palace and St. James Palace in London. If the Queen is in the palace, there will be 4 foot guards in front of the building and 2 if the Queen is away. Next, about the palace. Buckingham Palace is the Queen's official and main royal London home, also functions as the office. Every year, more than 50,000 people come to attend the royal party. Last, the Queen is the symbol of the country, the main symbol. She carries out many important tasks, yet she does not govern the state. The interesting thing is, in British monarchy, the husband of female monarch is not required to have any special status. For the laws related to the etiquettes, British people are naturally polite. Manners are important. For example, the kind of strict rule during eating. And another examples, in this PPT, it is important to say thank you, please, sorry, and excuse me. Also, they are disciplined in queuing, even when queuing to enter a bus. And British people do not usually touch people who are not their close friends. So avoiding such gestures like black slapping, kissing, and hugging is required. Last, asking about personal information like age and salary is considered impolite in Britain. That's all from Britain. For more specific discussion, you can access this link I attached. And thank you.
Australian custom. Australian custom. Custom is defined as a cultural idea that describes a regular patterned behavior that is considered characteristic of life in a social system. For example, shaking hands, bowing, and kissing. It's all about customs. Those are methods of greeting people. In this section, I will explain about Australian custom. Australians are generally not formal, so greetings, even initial greetings, are casual and laid back. It's common to shake hands, and Australian would normally just use first name to introduce people. First, we will discuss about meeting etiquette custom in Australia. Type of first meeting etiquette in Australia. Well, usually every country has a different custom. For now, we describe about meeting etiquette in Australia. First, it is polite in Australia to shake someone's right hand when you meet him or meet people at the first time. Usually Australian people do their shake hand when they meet new people. It's a little bit different in Indonesia. Before we shake the hand of the people, we usually spread a smile. It is not happening in Australia. The second, if you are meeting with someone who you have met before, it is polite not to talk about personal matters, because if you meet new people in Australia, it is forbidden for you to ask personal matters. It can be a criminal if you ask about especially marriage and etc. about personal matters of the people. The third is Australia tend to be fairly informal in their everyday interaction, and it is common practice to call someone by their first name only. Usually Australian people, when in leisure time, they usually very informal, and if they call people, they usually call it by his first name. For example, David Beckham, they will call Mr. David, just it. And the fourth, you can address someone by their title and their family name, but this is considered unnecessary and overly formal for most situations. People do, however, tend to be more formal in business and professional situation. Now, usually, if you want to be a formal in Australian, you can address someone by their title or their family name, but this is only for formal If you do the informal things, yeah, you can only call it by the first name. Second is business meeting ethic in Australia. First, business hours are 9 a.m. until 5 p.m., Monday to Friday. Australians are very straightforward and direct when it comes to business, and they don't need to have a long-standing relationship with you before doing business. Second, they don't appreciate the hard sell. They appreciate modesty and factual information, which is to the point and delivered by an approachable and friendly individual who avoids self-importance. Third, they have a tendency to underplay their own success, so ensure that you don't jump to conclusion or make any initial judgment about them. Fourth, decision making can be a slower process than what you are used to, as the business culture in Australia is collaborative and top management like to consult with subordinates prior to making big decisions. So this takes time. Patience is in awaiting a decision is appreciated. They are very direct and not afraid of saying no, so you will be sure to know where you stand. Third, gift giving custom in Australia. Small gifts are commonly exchanged with family members, usually close friend and neighbor, to mark special events such as birthday, birth, engagement, or Christmas. Tradespeople, such as sanitation workers, may be given a bottle of wine or a six-pack of beer. If you're invited to someone's home for dinner, it is polite to bring a box of chocolates, bottles of wine, or flowers to your host. A good quality bottle of wine is always appreciated. With the value placed on humility and equality, it's important that gifts are modest and not too expensive. Although it's acceptable to give high-value gifts to those you're close to, giving high-value gifts to others may cause embarrassment and you may be perceived as flaunting your wealth. Unless you are giving a small amount of money to a child, then it's rarely a good idea to give cash to Australian people. And the last is relationship and communication. Customs in Australia. Australians are very matter of fact when it comes to business, so do not need long-standing personal relationship before they do business with people or do communication with people. Australians are very direct in the way they communicate. There is often an element of humor, often self-depreciating in their speech, and Aussies often use colorful language that would be unthinkable in other countries. It means that Australian people, while do the communication, it depends on the situation. Then it can be humor, it can be serious, and it can be self-depreciating. But usually, Australian use colorful language that will be that will be only Australian that understand the language, than unthinkable in other countries.
Okay, next we move to the custom in Indonesia. The culture of Indonesia has been shaped by long interaction between original indigenous customs. Indonesia is a vast country of sprawling archipelago with a diverse demographic range of over 3,000 ethnic groups and has many languages. The result is a complex culture mixture very different from the original indigenous cultures. We have divided customs in Indonesian into three parts. The first is festival and celebration customs in Indonesian. Second is eating customs in Indonesian. And the last is greeting custom in Indonesian. Okay, here we go. We are going to talk about festivals and celebration custom in Indonesia. In Indonesia, the calendar is filled with festivals and celebration, both traditional and contemporary. The first is Pasola festivals in Sumba. Pasola is the most spectacular and significant event in the calendar for
the people of Sumba, East Nusa Tenggara. Held annually in February and March, Pasola is a ritual battle when tribes come together to act out war games and appease ancient enemies gods with bloodshed. Fighting on horseback and clad in traditional ikat clothing. The second is Lake Toba Festival, North Sumatra. Held in September each year, the Lake Toba Festival features music, arts, and crafts, traditional sport competition, a tourism seminar, and exhibitions. The festival also features art performance from the regions around Lake Toba. The third is Erau Culture Festival Kalimantan. The Erau ceremony is celebrated to this day to commemorate the crowning of new Kutai kings. The purpose of the ceremony is to cleanse the Sultan of all elements of evil through a process of sacred dance by the goddess and shaman. The Era Cultures Festival is held annually in August. The next is Nyepi Bali Celebration. The festival is known as the Day of Silence. These usually pulsating streets are empty, no music plays, no voices can be heard, and nobody steps outside their home for a whole day. It's a bizarre and blissful return to tranquility. The last is Dieng Culture Festival. Dieng Culture Festival is the celebrate deathlock cutting ceremony. The Cultural Festival offers an interesting glimpse into ancient tradition and superstitions, Javanese magic and mysticism. And then the next is about eating custom in Indonesian. Indonesians have a unique custom of eating. You will see the average Indonesians who often do these habits in every mealtime, whether it's while having breakfast, lunch, or dinner. See this following below of eating custom in Indonesia. The first is using no utensil while eating. It is a normal for Indonesians to eat by their hand without using any utensil. By doing this, the experience of eating becomes more enjoyable. The second is rice is the most important at all. It means rice is the staple food of Indonesians. Therefore, they would say that they have not eaten before they eat rice. And then the third is Lesian style. Lesian is the way of eating without sitting on the chair. They usually eat on the floor with carpet. There will be a small table on it. In Indonesia, there are many restaurants with this style are available. And then the next is, it is okay to take the fallen food before 5 minutes. It is actually a popular philosophy of belum 5 menit, which means it's okay to take the fallen food before 5 minutes. And the last is washing hands using kobokan water before eating. The next unique custom is the use of kobokan in Indonesia. Kobokan is actually a bowl of water put in the dining table which function for hand washing. They don't need go to anywhere to wash their hands since kobokan has already been available on their table. And the last part of the custom in Indonesia is Indonesian greeting customs. Greeting is something common in Indonesia. It is a part of polite act which everyone conducts every day. The formal Indonesian greeting customs are mostly used in a formal occasion such as at office, business occasion, or when greet older people. The first is handshake. Handshaking is a basic greeting in Indonesia. You need to hold the hands firmly, and if it's the first meeting, do not forget to say your name. The second is standing up. When your position is sitting, then someone comes, you can stand up to welcome them. Standing up to welcome someone shows that you are respecting them. The third is like bow. It is a common thing in Indonesia when you walk in front of bunch of elders, especially when they are sitting. It is crucial to give a slight bow while you pass by. And then the next is calling the name by Mr. or Mrs. Calling people, especially older people and those you are not close enough, by their name is considered impolite. When you greet someone, you can use Mr., Mrs., Sir, or Madam. And then is saying Assalamualaikum. The majority religion in Indonesia is Islam. So it is common for the people to use Assalamualaikum to greet each other. In the conclusion, American, British, Australian, and Indonesian have different customs. Every country has unique customs that show the identity of that country. These customs describe the orderly and pattern behavior that is considered a characteristic of life in the social system. Thus, we can learn the custom to find out the various cultures that exist in each country in the world. It can also help to us to broaden our culture insight, and we can preserve our own culture from extinction. I think this is enough from our group. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.